world where nostalgia and wonder abound. Folks flock together admiring the mighty, the marvelous, the super. Have you pondered how to begin your wanderings of the nerd realms? Well, hot dame, welcome to the Dame Patrol. Your vigilant Mrs. 3 are here delivering the news, cues, and reviews from across the geek world. Get a move on, gals. Your vigil has begun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another glorious high-flying episode of The Dame Patrol. I am here with my other lovely dames here at the Dames HQ. Not our usual HQ, but still great. I am the strongest dame, Herminia, but you guys know me as Minnie. And across from me, we're changing it up.
Oh shoot, we're just strange. I'm really distracted. This is Amy, and oh my gosh, that's why I'm the distracted dame. I'm really flustered now suddenly because you picked me first. But I'm gonna pass this way gently, past the tea.
Just gently
past the tea.
That's the tea, y'all.
That's the tea, as I literally have a cup of tea in my hands. This is Stephanie, as you may know me as the most knowledgeable dame, and we are here to talk about a very important lady.
Ooh, indeed, a very important lady. But before we get to this other lovely dame, we need to talk about our sponsors.
Oh, yeah. Keep them in suspense.
Yeah,
I know.
Guessing.
I got really excited because I was like, is it me? We're not talking about me today, right? We're not talking about me? Okay. Yes, let's talk about our Uncle Ben.
Yay!
Down at Empire's Comics Vault, located at 1120 Fulton Avenue.
Sweet K.
For pugs, hugs, hot sauce, not socks. We don't have those yet.
Not yet.
Not
and
yet.
comics up the yin yang. You can definitely fly on over and check us out. And then, of course, our second sponsor, who I love.
Our second sponsor, who is fantastic for all kinds of lovely scents that are out of this world for you, your friends, your team, and your oil factory, I guess. They are Quillinique Alchemy. You can find them in their lovely fandom-inspired scents.
Yes.
On the Etsy. You can search them on Google or search them on Etsy. They're going to pop up immediately, and you can get all kinds of cool scents so you can smell delightful while you are fighting scrolls.
Yes.
Because, you know, that's what throws the scrolls off, is a good scent. But when you're shopping for that good scent, you can use the code HOTDAME for 15% off your purchase.
I like it. I like it so much, and I like that we smell hot and fresh. So, most knowledgeable dame, we have another dame that we are discussing, we are celebrating.
Oh, we have a very important dame. I would say that she even has a movie coming out pretty soon. In fact, little after this movie, little after this episode goes up, the movie comes out, and that movie is Captain Marvel.
The Mightiest Avenger.
The Mightiest Avenger.
The mightiest dame.
Yeah, the mightiest dame, you might say.
She is the mightiest.
She is the mightiest. I accept this.
We're okay with that.
The hierarchy has been set.
Yep. It's okay. She T-poses stronger than I do.
As
there's a lot of hips, too. There's a lot of hips on that. Oh, my gosh.
It's true.
So, yes, the movie is coming out this Thursday, of course. So, if you can listen to us, be excited, and then go see it. But we want to give you a brief history.
Yes.
An intro, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Little bite-sized thing to get you excited for Carol and all of her delightfulness. Ooh.
I like introductions.
I do too, and I like snack-size introductions. They're the best kind of introductions.
So, do we have a snack-size introduction?
We do. Kind of. Sort of. We get all kinds of little morsels for you, for sure.
Okay.
So a smorgasbord. A buffet.
Could it be one of those, like, charcuterie boards of introductions?
I like that.
Yes.
A cheese board. Sorry. A cheese board of Captain Marvel goodness.
I'm okay with that. So taking it from the top, we have strongest dame. Do you want to take it from the top? Because I know you got the infos.
I do. So we're gonna start with the Carol Danvers of it all over here in the salty meat section of the cheese board. So we've got, of course, her creator, Roy Thomas, I should say. Roy Thomas, who created her in 1968. She was just an Air Force officer, actually, and a colleague of Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And there in 68, she kind of just helped him along doing stuff. And then about 8 years later, she became Miss Marvel.
Ooh.
And got some of his power set
nice
from an explosion of the Wish Machine.
wish machine.
Mm-hmm.
The wish machine.
The wish machine. I like that it has some big highfalutin name, and we're just like, it's the wish machine.
It's the wish machine. That's what everyone calls it now.
It's, just one letter off of being the washing.
It's a Cree wash machine.
I mean, we don't know what humans. It could be.
Could just be
Touche.
an alien wash machine.
It could just be an giant alien washing machine. So
Yep.
she was Miss Marvel, and then from Miss Marvel, she ended up going to a couple different. She hopped around a couple different monikers at that point too, because she was Carol, then she was Miss Marvel, then she ended up being, what was it, in the 80s? She was binary.
Binary, and then there was also Warbird.
Yeah.
So she's a mistress of names.
I like it. Not including our favorite, Captain Sparklefist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With the side shoot of Princess Sparklefist as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I love it. So she's been on so many teams.
Yeah. Including 3 different types of Avengers.
I'm okay with this anymore. That's why she's the mightiest Avenger. She's like, look, all Avenger teams, come beneath me. I shall shelter you upon my awesome. Let us go forth into the great beyond. So regular Avengers.
Then the Mighty Avengers.
And then
A-Force.
Was that the all lady Avengers?
That was the all lady Avengers, which was an offshoot of a different event where everything was exploded. So it was a whole team where it was all ladies because all the dudes weren't there.
I'm okay. And Valkyrie was in that team too.
Yeah.
That was, I'm like, yeah, Valkyrie.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then she was also on the all new Avengers that they recently did.
So she's on 4 teams.
Yeah, technically.
Dang, she's 4 Avenging.
Mm-hmm.
She's 4 Avenging.
She's all 4 Avenging. Yep.
Bad joke. I'm good at those.
One may even call her Pro Avenger.
It's like it's her job.
Yeah, it's like it's her job or something.
It just might be her job. Oh my gosh. And so then, of course, she's got literally a litany of teams all over the place that ain't just Avengings.
Yeah. No, she's got she was on Guardians of the Galaxy for like a day. So I guess that counts.
It counts. You're a Guardian now.
And then X-Force.
X-Force.
X-Force or X-Men? Did she X-Force the X-Men?
Well, I think she was on X-Force, one of those like wink and she's gone kind of situations, but it was more the X-Men.
Yeah.
You just got me excited about the X-Force.
I know.
We're all like,
I did X-Force with
the arms. There were so many arms. I wish everyone saw it. I know she headed up the Ultimates for a bit too.
Yes.
So that was her cosmic event. Was that Cosmic Avenger-esque, the Ultimates?
I actually never read enough Ultimates to really be like, yeah, totally Ultimates was like the space one. I feel yes. From my aesthetics memory, I feel that was the Cosmic Avengers.
Okay, so basically everything when she shows up, it's Avengers.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a little more BA than Captain America.
It's true. It is true. She does technically outrank him. So.
Yes.
She does.
That is canon, and it's great.
Oh, that's one of my favorite parts. I cannot wait for that to happen in Endgame. I just want her to come and be like, I outrank you, and just walk away. I'm so excited.
And he's just gonna be like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, yes, ma'am. And I'm like,
Yeah, it's my superior.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have all the Avengers. She also works for NASA, the United States Air Force, which we talked about, and then SHIELD. She did SHIELD, and I think she also was a part of SWORD at one point too.
Yes, she was part of SWORD.
Yeah, and so was Jessica, Spider-Woman. They did SWORD together.
Best friends forever.
Yep. Avenger buds.
I'm okay with those Avenger buds. So of all of her teams, we got to talk real quick about her power sets because they are muy importante to all of her superness.
Oh yeah, especially going into the MCU. Like they've already stated that she's the most powerful.
Yes.
Which is going to be great.
Which I think is going to blow some people's minds because you already have like Thor with his new crazy power set and the Hulk. You're introducing Carol and she's going to blow everybody else out of the water. And I'm really excited. And that's pretty much how it is in the comics. Like she's one of the, like if you need something heavy hitting, you get Carol Danvers in there.
Exactly. So we've seen her fly.
Yep.
If you've been watching the trailers or you've read the books, you've seen her fly. Check. Superhuman strength.
Yes, definitely.
It makes me happy. Speed. And if I remember correctly, she is like 6 times faster than the speed of either sound or light.
I feel
Ooh.
like sound, because they definitely want to keep tying in that she's like a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
So sound would make sense.
Yeah,
That
sound makes sense.
And then they said endurance and stamina, and I'm just like, basically she's just harder. She goes harder than everybody else and keeps going. I
Like
don't
the Energizer Bunny.
With cosmic power comes your Energizer Bunny.
Mhm. Well, I mean, that makes sense because she does have power absorption as well.
Yay.
So she has an endless supply of energy.
Exactly. And then she can also shoot it out, right?
Yep.
Or
Mhm.
and
That's the Sparkle Fists.
Sparkle Fist, Sparkle Fist. And I know when she was binary, she could absorb the power of black holes or it
Or
was
solar
like
flares and
yeah,
stuff.
it was like fission, like it was
Yeah.
straight up science. And I'm like, oh shoot, but it made her even more powerful. Hence her super crazy beautiful. And I keep stroking back my hair like I had one. I wish I had one. That mohawk of flames that we
Oh,
keep
yeah.
seeing.
Or like I like to call it the glow hawk because it
Ooh.
just
Oh.
jams.
glows and sparkles and jams.
You know, hashtag glowhawk. We're
Yeah.
pointing that.
Glowhawk.
I'm
Yep.
putting it down.
Pointing
I'm
it
putting it
now.
down right now.
Yeah, just gonna.
Glowhawk.
Glowhawk. We will see it upon all of our hashtag glowhawk. So those are power sets, and then from there, where do we go? I mean, we've given a pretty good like a blinkety blink at who she is and what she's capable of.
We do. I would say we definitely want to talk about, we mentioned the X-Men earlier,
Mhm.
but with her original incarnation, it was fantastic. Chris Claremont wrote the second half of her first Miss Marvel series.
Mhm.
And then a lot of stuff happened in the 80s when she was Binary and Warbird that were very weird.
Mhm.
Marvel didn't really give a lot of consideration to female characters.
Understatement,
all.
but yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some about it. I know we got our most knowledgeable Dame and
Yeah.
our most distracted Dame. You guys actually know a ton about this. I just
Yes.
know like the gloss over. All I know is that Chris Claremont fixed it with the X-Men.
Yes.
Yes, I can totally agree on that front. I mean, go for it, most knowledgeable Dame.
Oh, I don't know if I want to take the charge on this one.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's a tough topic. I know. So basically, there was, and you can see it with like kind of how they wrote a bunch of their female characters at the time. Because I know Wanda also had, or Scarlet Witch.
we're on a first name
yeah.
basis. It's okay.
I'm on
Wanda.
a first name basis with her, but
She
anyway.
texts her all the time,
Yeah.
believe me.
Vision's
So-
okay with it. We
so-
will check.
So like they had like Scarlet Witch had this whole thing where they had to have like this whole she broke down, and then that like it's kind of this whole cycle where we like have these female characters, but then once they reach a certain point, then the most interesting for writers, or at least what they seem to think is the most interesting thing, is to then tear them down,
Mhm.
or to be like, all right, we're just gonna pair you off and there you go, because they also did that to like Mantis. Like
Oh,
she
that's
became
right.
she
Yeah.
married like Swordsman's ghost, and they became like, she was like the celestial Madonna, and it was weird. And it's just kind of one of those things where they have these female characters, they introduce them, and then it's like, okay, they're gone and happy now. And so I think that's kind of the vein where this really awkward and bad story with Carol came in, where it was an Avengers story where it's like this I guess cosmic-y beam came in and was like, yeah, we're totally in love, and this is all the mind doohickey stuff that we did to make it happen, and it doesn't sound okay, but the Avengers were like, that sounds legit. Have fun on your honeymoon. Yeah, so that's kind of the gist of that story.
That is the very
It-
nicest, beautifulest
Yes,
gist,
I-
because
'cause-
my gist is so much heavier than that
Yeah,
gist.
like that
Yeah.
we can get super heavy on all the topics, but we want to celebrate Carol, and like this is like
Mhm.
something that definitely happened to her, and we want to discuss it, but we don't want to like spend all our time, because we could do a whole episode, a very serious episode, talking about this.
We could do it actually on a lot of the female characters and the
Mhm.
complete it's not even just deflowering, but it's the de-empowering of female heroines in the 1980s,
Oh,
especially with
definitely.
the fully led Marvel team at that time, and how the Comics Code approved so many absolutely utterly terrible things that went on to these females. I know I can mention it really briefly. There was an article written by Carol Strickland in the 1980s called The Rape of Miss Marvel that actually addresses the entire storyline. If you're interested in reading it, you can totally Google it. But it comes down to the fact that this is not okay to happen to any human being.
Mhm.
It doesn't just matter that she's a woman, but this is bad. And she pointed out that they had given Miss Marvel when she first started in the 70s. She was females fight back, empowerment, and all of these things.
She was like talking about like raising wages for women as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And just treating women equal in the workforce as well, which was a huge stance in the 80s.
Yeah. And then they essentially, in that one storyline, they took away all of her power and made her into something.
Yeah.
But
and I think even calling it a storyline is like a stretch, because it's a single issue that this happens.
Right.
There's nothing leading up to this. It's just a single issue where it's like she goes from Miss Marvel Avenger to goes off to be who knows what until the X-Men find her. And that's only because Chris Claremont, who was writing the X-Men at the time, brought her in. Like, if that hadn't happened, who knows what would have happened with like, she just might have disappeared, which would have been awful for everything.
Exactly. And Claremont took the time to help build her into such a great character, to incorporate her into the X-Men, and to give us not only a great X-Men run, which also powered up Rogue, who is one of my favorite X-Men.
What? You don't say.
So I don't say.
Like, for anyone not familiar with like, I think everyone knows like Rogue from the cartoon. Like, she can fly, she's super strong, but what a lot of like the cartoon never went into is she got her powers from Captain Marvel, from Carol Danvers.
Yes.
And they're kind of this whole like interconnectedness, and it's a really cool, like, I don't know, just relationship to look up if you're ever like wanting to go down a rabbit hole of stuff. Like, it's an interesting storyline.
Well, I will quickly wrap it, because they actually only brought it up for maybe, I think, one episode in 92 in the X-Men, because when she got the powers, she knocked Miss Marvel unconscious and she was in a coma, and Rogue felt super duper bad, and she kept seeing Miss Marvel in her head. Thank you, distracted Dame points.
Wow.
Wow.
Shazam.
Look at that.
Oh, wait, that's the wrong. We're not Shazam.
Zachary Levi. What are you doing here?
I'm sorry.
He said it's his name 3 times.
I really wish that would work. I like him a lot. So Claremont redirected a ship, not as in a relationship, if you listen to our last episode, but a great ship that was already destined for great things. And then that brings us to our modern reboot, not just our modern reboot, but our modern telling of Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah.
We're getting into the thick of it now.
We are. So Carol Danvers went through all of that stuff, and with Claremont, I think the good thing about Claremont's redirection is that he didn't ignore what happened, which a lot of writers, when they get handed that situation, they just completely rip that page out and say, nope, this is where we happen, continuing from this issue on. And he didn't do that. He definitely wrote Carol as a survivor and someone who went through something very traumatic, and the X-Men helped her continue on through that. And that made her stronger as a character, and writers now deal with that, and they continue that trend. And that's where we go into the modern iteration with the lovely Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Kelly Sue.
Oh my gosh, it's praise to Mama DeConnick. Praise Mama DeConnick.
Yeah, Mama DeConnick and all her duck lips. We love it. We love them.
And her hair, I've been staring at her Instagram all week, and she's asking people for hair choices for the premiere, and I just got really. She's like, do you like my hair like this with one side to the front, or do you like behind my ears, or how about curlers? Nah, I don't like curlers. But she's posting all of her selfies and her train of thought, and I'm just like, I love you. Be my friend.
This sounds delightful.
Oh, Kelly Sue. She sounds like everyone's cool aunt, and I love it.
I love it. Okay, so go for it.
Her run started in 2012, and that is when we started seeing Carol as Captain Marvel. She dropped the Miss. Chris Anka redesigned her new outfit, so now she's in a full, kind of like a flight suit with her helmet, which is awesome, and then she got the glow hawk going on. So no longer is she in the the swimsuit, essentially, with
the thigh-high black boots.
The thigh-high black boots and the scarf around her waist, because sure, why not?
At least she was covered, but
she was covered.
It depended on the artist. That
really
feels like a whole other episode I could go into. But anyway, moving on. New,
Noting
better
that
costume.
For other costume designs. Keep going.
Yes, but that was such a cool run that Kelly Sue took that and kind of made her for a new audience. She brought her back to the forefront, and she wanted to tell people who was Carol. Her being someone who's so stubborn that she's just has such a great tenacity. She'll do whatever she has to get the job done, to make people feel better, to make people feel protected.
Mhm.
And that's something that we got in her first run. She went higher, faster, and further than anyone ever did before.
I can totally agree that. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite. That first arc from 2012 is one of my absolute favorite arcs for Captain Marvel. We get a time travel. Even if you have never read a Captain Marvel book, you drop right into that. It's a time traveling, rip roaring, stubborn, sassy run on just. It's just awesome. Like
Yeah.
it was Emma Rios was doing the art on that too, which
Mhm.
teams up again with Kelly Sue DeConnick on Pretty. Oh, I almost said
Deadly.
Pretty Deadly.
Mhm.
I almost went the other way. Oops, wrong book. But it's beautifully drawn. You can see the care that Kelly Sue has taken to bring you in. If you have, and like I said, if you've never had any introduction at all, this is where I would just go, do you know what? You want to see something really kick-ass? Read this book.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. Shalom. Read this book.
Yes, please. Oh my gosh.
And then more modern stuff as well. Kelly Sue carried and brought Captain Marvel and Carol to the forefront for a number of years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also writing Avengers takes with her as well. But one of the newer runs of Captain Marvel, Stephanie, you were reading, right?
Yeah, and I'm really digging it. It's done by Kelly Thompson, and it's just Captain Marvel number 1 and 2 so far, but it's ongoing, and it's really cool. So it deals with the aftermath of her being in space for a long time because she was hanging out with Alpha Flight, which, if you know comics, they're the Canadian superhero team, but they were in space with Carol for a bit, and she's come back to Earth, and this is also after Civil War 2, which is no bueno. Yeah, no bueno. And then also her taking time to like take care of her family. So she's now coming back into the forefront, and everyone's now kind of the public are like, well, she kind of left for a bit. Who is she? So she agrees to an interview, and then things go down essentially. So there's basically like Jessica, Hazmat, Echo, I think Jen Walters, She-Hulk is going to get involved pretty soon. So I'm really excited about this book and the direction that it's going. So that's one to keep an eye on. And if it just started, and if you want to get a good, like go into a comic book store, grab these 2 issues and get a good view of like who Carol is. Before the movie starts, I'd recommend picking that up if you're intimidated by trades. But I think you could go for the trades. You can go for this. You're not going to go wrong with Kelly Sue DeConnick or Kelly Thompson.
I can totally agree on that one. And then I know that it just came out in it is 2019. Golly jeepers. 2018, there was a limited that came out called The Life of Captain Marvel, which was a 5 limited issue run that was they coined it as not a retelling, and I'm doing air quotes. You can't see them, but you can feel them. A limited retelling of her origin story to try to get people up to speed. It more was a focus on not her original origin, which is she gains her powers from Captain Marvel. But it gave a spin, and spoilers, that she has Kree in her blood, and the wish machine impact, coupled with being next to Marvel, but it was mostly the wish machine, activated her dormant Kree cells and brought her to the forefront. It had a great arc it had a great section in there where her mom is like this totally BA Kree captain.
Yeah.
And that she named her not Carol, but Carel, because it means champion in Kree. And it's more of an addressing of family. So it takes a lot more for me from coming out of like Kelly Sue's run to go to this one to find the Spitfire, sassy, like she's still stubborn, but all of the extra quippiness that comes with her when
it's in her Kree bloodline.
Yeah. Apparently it is, but you don't see it as much in that. But if you want a quick uptick on it, you can do that. I also know that Marvel released a quote unquote prelude to Captain Marvel book that I don't think any of us have gotten our hands on, and I'm very hesitant.
So I'm hesitant to recommend that because usually their prelude books are like just redrawings of the previous movies, which I don't know how they would do that for Captain Marvel because she hasn't been in anything else.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm curious. I haven't even opened it.
Yeah. So usually those have been historically not great. It's not really it's either not new content or not that it's nothing that's building upon anything that's going to help
exactly. Yeah, I would say in lieu, definitely either pick up the In the Life of Captain Marvel, or definitely just grab the new Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson. Both are by Kelly Thompson, actually, but definitely grabbing this new #1. In the first 2 pages, I flipped through it. In the first 2 pages, she goes through modern retelling of Carol's history, and that's really all you need to know to get picked up to speed. Because now that we are recording and getting ready for the movie coming out this Thursday, we've seen, which was really cool as a little cool side note, Kelly Sue DeConnick actually walked the red carpet, which was very cool because the comic creators have, other than Stan Lee, have never been invited to do that. And Kelly Sue's iteration and also Kelly Thompson's iteration very much shaped the movie that we are getting.
Yeah, that was great seeing, especially if you want to follow some really fantastic, just crazy Instagram, when she was taking pictures of her chair on set.
Yes.
And it had her name on the back. And I was just like, girl, I'm so proud to see you in that chair. Like, you can sit in the chair and take a selfie, but taking the picture of the chair makes me happy too. So needless to say, I think we are super excited to see how our beautiful comic family is leaping forward into
in 3D, like they're really there.
Oh my gosh. Wait, can we see it in 3D?
Oh, I imagine so.
We probably could.
Oh my gosh.
Sick.
Now I'm wondering about that. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's great to see her leap forward into not just out of comics, but forward into making such a great stand for movies and in culture as general. And this says a lot about Carol as a person as well.
Oh yeah. And it definitely says a lot about Carol as kind of like a modern pop culture icon. Because if you really think about it, in the current MCU, there are only really maybe less than a handful of characters that have really made a cultural impact.
And there's a good reason for that, because there was a period of time when the Marvel Comics company was struggling with money. So the way they saved the company was they sold the movie rights to anything that anyone would buy. So that's why Fox has the right to X-Men, and Fantastic Four was out of their hands for a bit, and Punisher, and pretty much all these things were sold because and Spidey. Because those were the things that people knew. Everything else that they had their hands on, so Iron Man, Captain America even, and pretty much everyone that we got those first wave of movies were ones they couldn't sell to anybody.
Yeah, very true.
So Captain Marvel, so when you think of like Marvel heroes that people knew before the movies, you're gonna think like Captain America, Black Panther, Spider-Man, but also Captain Marvel, like in a way that if you were like, I guess, paying attention to the comic scene around the time that the first run came out, Carol was everywhere. And I think probably the best person in the room to ask about that would be both of you guys, because I was like going through some life stuff around the time that first run came out, so I missed out on that whole Carol Core train, and I'm really sad about it. But let's hear it from you guys about that.
It's okay to get on the train.
I'm on it late, but I'm on it.
As long as you're in. Once you're in the core, you're in the core.
Yep.
It's one of those sisterhood. We can't let you out of this thing. It's not like we're gonna jump you.
Nope.
We won't jump you. We won't jump you in. We won't jump you out.
But we'll always remember you. Your legacy will always be there. Yep.
That was pretty.
Thank you. I learned it from Carol.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. No, the Carol Core, like Captain Marvel, is definitely something I like to call a cultural linchpin, because she's bringing in everything of the modern era. Like you mentioned, Captain America, Black Panther, and even Spider-Man. They've all made huge cultural impacts outside of just being popular in comic books. The rest of the MCU, they just had varying level of popularities in comics, but those three and now Carol have made huge impacts. And you mentioned the Carol Core, which for you dear listeners that don't necessarily know, the first iteration with Kelly Sue DeConnick's run, the Carol Core is what fans, whether they be male, female, or lovely in between or neither, called themselves as fans. They were so excited to join Carol on her adventures and loved what she was standing for, that we just saw this huge influx of new readers who just wanted to see what this new character is all about. And so many people that really related to what she was talking about.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could especially, and I pulled up because it still moved me so much about how people connected with Carol was from the end of her, it had to be almost, it was like the Enemy Within was the run, and it was from the Avengers, and she had 2 standalone, like fully tied in books. And at the end of it, she goes through this thing where to get rid of the bad guy, she has to go into space, and essentially she loses her memory. But so they get her back, and they bring her back, and it goes, when somebody asks about Miss Marvel, what do we tell them? Or it was a little girl, we tell her that heroes aren't defined by their powers or their costumes, but by the contents of their heart. And for that, and then it goes on to say, but we will know by the light she has inside of her, because she showed us all today. We know she's Captain Marvel and she's our hero. And that connected with me on such a personal level that I got, and I'm getting tingly right now from even reading it out loud again, that is the impact, that saying it is the contents of your heart and it's the contents of your character that make you a great person, that connects everybody, that makes people want to get behind such an amazing character. And it doesn't matter your gender, race, creed, your sexuality, whatever. It is a down to the root base of who you are, and the contents of you are what we're going to get behind. And this just sorry.
Yeah.
Vapors.
Yeah. No, it's like her level of tenacity was just amazing to see, especially the new iteration of comics, because when she first came out, when the 2012 stuff, not a lot of things were really happening for the female comic book characters at that time. Marvel was kind of being stagnant again. Marvel tends to go through highs and lows, and they were definitely getting to the stagnant point again.
They go through high highs and low lows.
Mountain high, valley low. That's
almost comics in general.
Yeah.
Comics
and
industry.
At that point, they were very much getting to that.
And I think especially too, they were hitting up Image, had their big boom at that section.
That's true.
Right before this book came out, and Saga was on everybody's lips. And everyone's like, Marvel, we're so tired of that Marvel stuff. And I remember going into the stores, the store. I'm sorry, I was in Alaska at that time still. The store. It was one store. It's a great store, it's still there. The Marvel books were sitting on the shelf, just sitting there. And you could go in and you could pick up books that had been there for weeks. But this one you couldn't keep on the shelves. And that, of everything else, all of the Image was being sold, all the indie was being sold. We had a pretty good chunk of DC running out, but I distinctly remember not being able to get the weekly run for Captain Marvel, and I was pissed.
No.
I had like 3, 5 and like 7, and then the rest were on back order, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna trade weight it.
Yeah.
And that was the most frustrating thing too.
So good. So good. And I think one of the other things too is I love personally, like, one, Carol has part of the real estate on my tattoo that I am working on. Carol's definitely one of the next 2 that I'm going to get on my superheroine tattoo. But I love that Carol, because of everything she's gone through, and because really being the showing of it matters the level of power in your heart, not necessarily your actual power set and what you do, your own character is the strength of you. She showed and continues to show that she is the every woman. She's not like above like you, me, or anyone else. She is powerful because she is who she is, and she doesn't put anyone else down.
Exactly.
And that definitely is something that is so cool to see, and to see continued being written that way, and like her relationships as well. That's something that definitely,
and you can see that through her relationships, like her relationship with Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, and then like her relationship with Wanda, or her mentorships with Kamala, or Anya, and now Hazmat. Like she doesn't. Like, she's not like the kind of person that's like a mother hen sort, but she's the kind of person that takes people around her and uplifts them and like holds them to a higher standard, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I know
building up women around her,
which is exactly what I want my captain to always do. My generals and my captains, they can start out as princesses, but they always end up empowering everybody around them, and especially not just the women, but we see it thrive the most with the women, especially in the books. And the men, not that they flock to her, but they don't treat her as a lesser. And the ones that start talking, quote unquote, down to her, she doesn't have to show them up. She just makes them chase after her. And that is the type of woman that I always want to be around, because those are the ones that go higher, go farther, go faster, and go further. And I don't care if I said it wrong, because all of those things,
they were all in it.
They are all in it, because that's what a great leader does.
Yeah.
And Cap inspired Cap America. Let me push that. Captain America, Stephen Rogers did a great job in showing that on the ground. But Carol Danvers shows that everywhere.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what your gender is. When your leader is doing that, you're going to follow them.
Exactly. Well, and then like all of the stuff that Carol has gone through as well has made her such a strong individual. And you know what? She's had her lows as well, dealing with situations like that. Like everyone and their grandma knows about like Tony Stark having his alcohol problem. Carol did too. We just talked about the stuff that she went through in the 80s. A lot of writers gloss over it, but a lot of really strong writers acknowledge it. And that was acknowledged around the time that Tony was trying to get over his alcoholism as well. She was going through the same thing and in the last dredges of it, and they became each other's sponsors. That's
my favorite. He calls her Care Bear too. Like she doesn't begrudgingly accept his help. She sees him as his they're their accountability partners, and there's no romantic,
or as I call them, accountability buddies.
Oh shoot! I still love that. I forgot that you call them accountability buddies. Yeah, they connect in such a great way, and it's not romantic, and it doesn't feel romantic. It doesn't feel brother sister. It feels like just a great team. Yeah, and it's so cool to like be able to see it translated in the panels, and I'm really kind of excited to see where it takes off in the movie.
Oh, it's gonna be great. He's gonna be like, I'm dying, here I am dying, and she's gonna be like, dunk dunk dunk, hey, do you want to live?
Yeah, he's like, what
I don't want to go through this again, damn it. Survivor's guilt all over again.
Oh my gosh. And that's part of like we were talking about how she's gone through all of these muck ups from the 80s, and not just with her rape. She was raped. She was a victim of sexual assault. It wasn't because of it that she grew. What was in spite of it that she grew. And the writers that come after not only acknowledge that moment, but they don't downplay it. They don't hide it in the shadows. And they go, yeah, she dealt with it. Essentially, there's PTSD that's connected to it, and her alcoholism, and then her dad, which you'll see different things from different iterations where they talk about her family problems and that her brother died. And she has this sense of, she's working through her survivor's guilt, but she's honoring the people that came before her, and she's honoring herself by continuing to push, which makes her in a couple of arcs almost to the point of recklessness. But she has great friends, especially Jessica. All day Jessica comes in and is like, girlfriend, no, sit down, nap time, we take naps. And she's like, I don't wanna. She's like, just sit.
Yeah, just sit. Yep. Well, and even like a lot of relationships that don't get acknowledged, like Wanda's one that doesn't get acknowledged as much as it should. Yeah. But also Monica Rambeau, Photon. Yeah, she is fantastic. They don't acknowledge her relationship as much, unfortunately, but Kelly Sue, again, in her original like second arc, definitely acknowledged that relationship with Monica and how they definitely make each other better by building each other up and keeping each other humble. Yeah, they both are like, oh, you're this level of superhero, well, check it out, I Google alert myself, so there you go.
That's right. She has the Captain Marvel. So Monica Rambeau at one time was also carrying the mantle of Captain Marvel, and then she got a Google alert that Carol showed up and took it, and she's like, we've got to talk about this. And she's like, you have a Google alert set up for yourself? And Monica's like, don't you? Like, yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Right. I'm famous. Why wouldn't you? And I'm like, oh, I love you, Monica.
And that's gonna be super cool seeing her mom, Maria, in the movie being Carol's BFF for life, being her what is it in the her wingman.
She's her in Air Force. It's the wingman. If you're boots on the ground, that would be your battle buddy or your battle boo. Yep. She ain't got no battle boo. She got wingman.
I thought we were going for platonic life partner, so I'm glad you didn't say anything.
I'm okay with that too.
I mean, I'm also down. Yeah.
We came to get down.
But it's just great seeing all of these relationships and all of these characters just being uplifted and empowered by Carol just being herself as well, and wanting other people to also feel this empowered and this great. Like that's such a cool thing to see in a character. I love it.
And I think it translates really well to also her empowerment of the characters in the books, and people almost flocking to follow her. She empowers females and female fandoms to greater heights. I didn't mean that as a pun, but it came out anyway. And not just her own. I mean, if we're looking at the movement for Kamala Khan, if we're looking at the Marvel uprising as a whole, which is fiercely female led, we've got these young readers and these young viewers, male and female, or everything in between, that are going, I want to be like them. And that's, I fiercely believe that is all that is a very good chunk of Captain Marvel's doing.
Oh, definitely. And like all of the new Marvel Now stuff as well definitely started with Marvel realizing, these new readers like this ladies thing. We have some of those. Pull them out of the closet, Deborah. And like they really just pulled all of these female characters out of the closet. And that's why we had so many like cool iterations. That's why like the new Squirrel Girl also started around that time too.
It did. And it's like Squirrel Girl's one where she was always like she was on some quirky teams, but her whole thing is she's unbeatable. She has never been defeated. And that's a really fun character, and it's a challenge to write an intriguing story that way, but it can be done and it can be fun, and you can put her on teams. You can have fun with that. So she's in Marvel Uprising now. So that's a really, and then also like you had Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. So Lunella. So she's new. Devil Dinosaur and Moon Boy was the old one, but so then it's this whole girl in New York City who is brilliant but misunderstood and doesn't really fit like she belongs, and then you throw a dinosaur into that, and it's just this really fun all ages title, and I'd recommend it.
I mean, the Unstoppable Wasp too.
Yes.
Oh yes, which is also coming back, because that ran for like a few issues and then it was canceled, and then they're like, people like this ladies thing, and like this is selling like hotcakes at book fairs. Dust that up, we're putting it back out.
Well, and then of course you have to also acknowledge the hammer in the room of like the mighty Thor.
Yes.
Jane Foster, come
yes.
my hammer.
Right?
I don't have the hammer inside the house. Where'd it go?
Yeah, like Mew Mew being or Mjolnir. Mew Mew is what my dad calls Mjolnir, because he can't pronounce Mjolnir for whatever reason. But Mjolnir being given to Jane Foster and Thor becoming the mighty Thor is definitely because of the waves that Captain Marvel made.
Agreed. Also, I think that outfit is a little bit that too, with that sweet, solid, like straight down the mask.
Chef kiss. I love these helmets.
They're
they're good.
They got me all caught up. They got me feeling it caught up. Oh my gosh.
And this is all just because of the cultural linchpin that is Carol Danvers.
Our Captain Marvel.
Oh, Captain, my Captain, long may you reign.
Yes.
I will stand on my desk all day for this lady.
Oh yeah, that movie did do that, didn't they?
They did. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. You're my favorites. Yeah. But so one more shout out to that before we close out is we've got to say congratulations, and we're excited to see everything you do, Brie Larson.
SAC local, fantastic. She doing town proud.
Yeah. No, we've got some other great ladies coming out of here as filmmakers and as artists, but I know we're just really excited to see what she does, because we don't usually get to see a Sacktown girl up on a screen like this. So I'm excited.
I am so jazzed for her. Even if she went to literally the rival of my alma mater, I still appreciate Brie Larson nonetheless.
Good. Oh my gosh. I feel good.
I feel good.
I feel good. I feel excited and quite mighty to see this delightful movie.
All right, after this episode happens, I'm just gonna go into hibernation and then come back out to see Captain Marvel in a few days.
One more sleep.
One more sleep till Captain Marvel.
Sorry,
that was not in tune at all. I was trying to do the Muppets Christmas Carol, and
it's okay. Carol can't sing either. It's fine.
No, she can't. Oh, I really hope they do that one too. Oh my gosh, I don't know where I'm going with this, you guys. I got distracted.
Well,
I'm
I think
thinking
we
about
just
Beth
gotta
King.
do, sponsors and whatnot. Yeah.
Do you know what? Even if they're not distracted and I am, you can still go to Empire's Comics Vault, located at
you go.
1120 Fulton Avenue.
Sweet K.
For hugs, hot sauce, and out of this world cosmic comic books. Trust me, you should visit. And then, of course, if your olfactory is in need of something mighty,
something delicious, something sparkly in your sensory area, you look at Quill and Ink Alchemy up on the Etsy. You can find all kinds of fun fandom scents inspired by your favorite video games or your favorite, character archetypes. Who knows? We might have an out of this world scent coming soon. We will get back to you on that. It's lost on the time stream right now. But if you are shopping around for a fantastic scent, you can use the code HOTDAME for 15% off your first purchase.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Captain Marvel is mature.
Captain Marvel has definitely made us just very
I
excited.
I'm just like
know.
Captain Marvel. I'm flailing.
She's sitting right here next to me, you guys. She's a tiny bobblehead, but she's sitting right here.
We've got multiple tiny bobbleheads. I'm so excited.
We do.
Oh my gosh.
We do.
But we should definitely close out the HQ because we got to get ready to go see this movie.
I got a
Right.
glove up and glasses on. Let's go. Okay, but of course, this is the Distracted Dave. Amy, you can find me at HiJURobot on the very new social media. This is why I'm really distracted. I gotta pass it to. I'm gonna pass it the way that I usually do. This way to the right.
All right, picking it up. All right, and I am Stephanie, and you can find me at my Instagram at Dame of the Galaxy, and you know me as the most knowledgeable Dame. And then I'm going to pass it to our strongest Dame.
Strongest Dame here, picking it up because I'm super strong. I am Herminia, but you guys know me as Minnie. You can find me at Dame Egg Sauce on that there Instagrams.
Yes, and just remember, geeks in distress.
No need to light the signal.
We're always on patrol. See you guys on the flip side.